We're live, and welcome to another edition of Harbinger. A fantastic week. Well, before we go any further, I'm sure many people have been asking me, so let's go straight to it. How was your week in Romania, Daniel?
Yeah, let's start with that, I guess. So let's see. First of all, like it was pretty good event. So Decentralization conference took place in Romania February 21st to 23rd, and got a chance to meet a lot of people working on blockchain things and decentralization projects in general. Like, for example, I got a chance to meet with the president of Liberland. So that's pretty awesome. He's not exactly doing a blockchain thing directly, but as a part of their whole. So Liberland is a country that's being made on some property between Serbia and Croatia, and it's a newest country on the earth. Look at that, and they're totally into cryptocurrency, and they're looking to support businesses involved in cryptocurrency. So like, if you're yeah, if you're interested in making a business and you want a what they're calling a tax heaven. So there's a voluntary tax. You don't have to pay anything if you really don't want to. I think it's cool that you can support the country however you can though. And you could set up a business and you could operate your business from Liberland. Um, and it was really nice. I got a chance to meet with the president of Liberland, and because of where I am in Serbia, it means that I'm right next door to Liberland, so it's really awesome that I can be of service with the connections that I have here in Serbia. So yeah, we talked for hours and hours, and it's really fascinating what's going on over there in Liberland, and I think could be very helpful to the whole cryptocurrency cause, where you want to make businesses, but you want favorable conditions to that business that's global and decentralized. So if people are interested in doing business and they need some place similar to like Cayman Islands or something where there's no tax or there's a voluntary tax, that's good for business. So Liberland is a good option. They are developing the infrastructure for businesses, and it's going to operate on a blockchain similar to how like Sega Exchange Coin works and stuff like that. So, but that's for like private business. We're more like a decentralized global enterprise rather than just a couple people owning it. We have something a little bit different, but yeah, it's pretty awesome that their infrastructure mirrors the way Sega Exchange Coin works, which gives us merit and gives credibility to Liberland. That's for sure. And yeah, it was really awesome to be there to meet that guy. And yeah, generally people in the conference, there was a lot of people from the Ethereum crowd, which was really fascinating because I learned how there's a company called Consensus, which has almost 170 developers, all built. So Consensus is a company directly supporting development on Ethereum, which I thought was fascinating. And the developers, they're traveling all over the world and talking about their developments, like their projects they're building on the Ethereum blockchain and their smart contract systems. So it's really fascinating, really awesome to meet a lot of those guys. And then what was really awesome and really uplifting was I was there talking to all the people about Save Exchange Coin and about the decentralized anonymous marketplace that we're making. And I just get an applause, like as soon as I just say, I would say something, I said something like, an anonymous marketplace that nobody can shut down. And it's just like round of applause and like standing ovation for taking up the cause. And like there's a lot of developers out there and no one's really addressing the issue. So yeah, it's really exciting to get a lot of interest, learned about other people's work, and it just really reaffirms that like we're on a good track, and that other people are working in this space doing all kinds of also interesting projects, and just really great to get that confirmation. And so I also got to see Dracula's castle, and really the reason why I do that is because it's not really Dracula's castle. They just call it Dracula's castle, which was the ironic thing, but it was also pretty fun. Yeah, it was a really cool time to be there. yeah, get a lot of interested people. Like, yeah, it's a really awesome trip. That's for sure.
Well, okay, Daniel. I mean, there's a couple of questions I think just immediately spring to mind, and one's around the Liberland. Now, you mentioned obviously he's open and seems quite open to decentralization, altcoins, blockchain, kind of things like this. In your discussions with him, did it come up about his maybe concerns with the general kind of what the European state's going to be like, and how does he plan it going forward? Does he see blockchains, or does he see things like other things coming up that are going to be more suited for his solution, or is he very open-minded? Because I say this because, as we know, there's many people, they get very kind of caught in their own little bubble chambers and think one project alone is going to work. And I'm interested to know a guy who's actually
Sure.
staying, how he's viewing it from a wide
Yeah,
angle.
that's awesome. Great question, because it gives me the chance to bring up. So what he was at that conference promoting is a startup competition for blockchain and decentralization related projects. So so they're not myopic. They're open to this ecosystem rather than just like a one solution. Like, they're not looking to back the one Ethereum. You know what I mean? They're looking to back every Ethereum of all the necessary components. Like, a lot of big things also are about private property. So it was really cool, that I'm building the Chili blockchain for the anonymous marketplace. So it was like, that was like a bonus of what I represent, and what the Vit Jedlička, the president of Liberland, what he represents. So we had a really common ground, and like, yeah, he's looking to build, since it's from scratch, he can adopt blockchain stuff rather than, it's different when you have incumbents and you got to turn the tide than when you starting from fresh and from Greenland, and it's like, you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to reteach anybody. Like, their business infrastructure is going to be blockchain based. It's amazing. It's like, for the first time in the whole history of the universe, you got a country who's giving you companies with a nice user interface from the government. It's like, how about you? But if you go on the website of a government like USA or something, it looks like 1993. You know what I mean? No one's making some beautiful, crisp user interface for your experience, right? So that's refreshing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to incorporating a company in Liberland. Yeah,
But
a lot of people. I'm talking about this way because I think people generally should consider doing it. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is not for one person. This is for people looking for a new progressive environment. See what I mean? Yeah.
exactly. Then I was just about to sort of make that very point, because I mean, just generally, I mean, Europe used to have quite a lot of tax havens, and they started to shut them down one by one. So I think anywhere that's progressing that idea is an absolute champion, really, because we need, like I say, more of these open spaces. But I was just generally wondering, I mean, is there any particular areas that he had that I mean, are they open to people for, are they looking for coders and people to go and start businesses there, or and if that's the case, I mean, anyone may be listening, what are the intrinsic benefits of maybe somewhere like Liberland? I mean, you mentioned the tax benefits and stuff, but is there, do they, and you mentioned about the benefit of, help with the UIs, but is there did you get the sense, my general question is, did you get the sense that it was very kind of open-minded and supportive of people who have got that kind of mindset? So people like us who have got a very open mindset, did you get the impression that that would be a good place to sort of think, okay, I'm going to have people who are going to be open to collaboration rather than lots of barriers to cross and people to sort of come across or against?
Yeah, so the purpose of Liberland government is to establish this haven and let it run itself. I mean, it's the world's your oyster, right? So here they adopted a constitution similar to the United States of America. like they're just focusing on the infrastructure. It's like a country. It's like it's kind of hard to imagine, because like most countries, governments expand and expand and expand, and they're like 75% of the entire community is government, right? Here, that's just like they're just trying to make community, but not increase government interventions. That's really what it is. It's about private business, private property, private like private work. You see, and he's just looking to invite people to do it there, because the situation allows for that. You see, like when you join any other countries, you start your business in any other countries, you conform to the laws of a long time. Here, there's an opportunity to participate in something that's fresh. You can, so like Tim, if you made a company in Liberland and I made a company in Liberland, right? We're interacting together anyway, but here we have now an entities that we can use, right? And those entities survive in Liberland. So we're not exactly collaborating with the Liberland government. We're collaborating in the Liberland space. You see what I mean? Like if we were both in Scotland, we would be using the infrastructure of Scotland to the extent that we can. The infrastructure right now in Liberland means we can maybe open a bank account in the name of an entity that has no tax for the corporation that we bring. You see, and so I guess that's like the main thing. And let's say they're going to understand cryptocurrency laws better, or provide, like there's lawyers and stuff who are involved in dealing with Liberland, so they can, champion cryptocurrency to the world. I really don't know yet. It's very early. It's only 2 years old, and there's a lot to build there still. Like architects are most valuable people really to build out the land. Construction is a big deal right now, I think there, and just like kickstarting things, being the first businesses from Liberland and representing the message. Like it's really who you are. You represent that. So I think as a business, it'd be very valuable to align with the ideals of Liberland. Yeah.
Now, one of the things I've mentioned for a while, and I think it's fascinating. I wanted to touch upon this, just from your experience, really. I've mentioned for a while that a true paradigm shift with decentralization is going to mean it being worldwide. And we, as most people would know, a lot of interest around cryptocurrency is based in America. So my question to you, Daniel, from someone who knows both sides of the pond, you've worked amongst Americans, and now you've seen it, experienced it over here in Europe. What would you say the intrinsic differences between the two cultures of the coders and the people involving it? Or do you think there is just a uniform approach that everyone's taking? And if there is differences, what do you think that one side, or the Americans could maybe pick up from the Europeans, and the Europeans could do a picking up from the Americans?
So I think Europe is more progressive. They are more open to things. In the USA, for example, here's a great example. And also something that opened my mind up was, let's say you wanted to do a wire transfer to somebody in the USA. USA to USA. It's not so bad. It's it'll take the day. The working day for that to happen. If you did Bitcoin, sure, it could take up to 10 minutes, but usually the recommendation is to wait an hour, right? So it's really only about 20% improvement in it, compared to, in that day. So the American transferring to doing business with Americans, he's gonna see the value of Bitcoin to be less significant than the person without a bank account. See what I mean? But here's another problem. The person without a bank account probably doesn't have a bank account because they have no money. So it's like a totally different problem. I do believe that putting cryptocurrency in the hands of people who don't have money, now you answer their question. You give them money, and what they're going to do with that money that transforms everything. So yeah, I think in Europe is more free-flowing ideas about this. As I showed you, like in America, people doing business with Americans don't really have any problems. It's the rest of the world, and Europeans may understand that, like, it used to be all kinds of currencies in Europe. In USA, it's just one currency, and a lot of Americans have never even had more than one currency in their wallet. They never went from euros to pounds to dinars to anything else except, like, they used to go from marks to lira to I don't know, to pounds, to Scottish pounds, back to Deutschmarks, like all kinds of currencies. More exposed to this kind of transfer here and there. They're also used to the exodus, their national currencies into euros. So Europe is more predisposed and more well adapted to this transformation of currencies. And also the fact that people in Europe are dealing more with people in the Middle East, to people in Eastern Europe, to people in China. So they know that it takes a while to transfer. Like even to Serbia, it could take 2 weeks to come from the EU into Serbia, and like all the other countries that are in this area. So that's really problematic. 2 weeks compared to 1 hour, that's marginal. But when you're comparing a few hours to 1 hour, the American can just, let go of the volatility and stick with his US dollars. But so, that's the true answer to the question is Europeans are more, we just kind of went through that experience. So we arrive at a thorough answer. Yeah.
Well,
I way better doing crypto here in Europe.
Well, I think just one of the things I just want to maybe flag up while you're saying that, because I think just to highlight what you're saying, being in Europe, being this part of the world all my life it's very, you're absolutely correct in what you're saying about the currencies. But I think that's one of the things that I've always been fascinated to see what Europe does with this decentralized technologies and blockchains, because most Europeans understand not only do their currencies disappear, but they understand what it's like to have their currencies completely devalued, and suddenly you're having, X amount in your bank account, and that's very common around the world. That suddenly you wake up one day and it's the old famous story about in Berlin at one point, or in Greece just a few years ago, people were crossing the street and with barrels of money, and by the time they crossed the other side of the street, it was just worthless. It was that quick. So I think Europeans have a very much more of a sense of that realness than maybe Americans do, because, like you said, the dollar's been the almighty pound. But I think it's going to be fascinating. I think it's what you've been speaking upon. I think there's a lot of quiet kind of reservedness about the Europeans. We don't go out bragging a lot, but I think there's a lot of hard work and, like, legs under the ducks, like underwater. There's a lot of hard work going, but they don't brag about it. Whereas Americans just generally, not hashtag all of them, but they are very braggish and big about, and like to talk about things. And I think that's a very different sort of my reflection between Americans and Europeans generally, which I think gives me optimism, because I think some very smart people doing a lot of hard work and not wanting to show it off. I think some really big things coming in. It's been very. Sounds really inspiring. You've had a great week, and it's good to sort of see that you feel that people are on that same sort of page, because it's good to know that, because for a long time it hasn't really been made a mark over here, and it seems to be, from what you're saying, it seems to be spreading the word, and more people are understanding what the technology is about, and the potential that could really release to most people.
India also, it's like Asia. It's very valuable technology, very important. How's it going with you?
Oh, really well, Daniel. I mean, I think the same with. I think one of the reflections I like to make, and where I'm at right now, is that I see, my reflection is the same as yours. I see a lot of people, and I'm overwhelmed almost on a daily basis. The amount of people who almost say to me, "When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?" And there's a lot of people really starting to, I think, just illuminate themselves, and they're getting really excited. So yeah, I have a lot of conversations. Now, one of the conversations I did have this week, and it relates to you really, and that's why I wanted to have it kind of live on the podcast, because it's just a general question. Now, this gentleman I know, he runs a company over here, but for whatever reason, it's not an illegal company, but they won't allow him to sell his stuff through visas and stuff. So he has to do things by bank transfer. So he's been talking to me about altcoins, decentralization, etc., etc., etc. And one of the questions he asked was like, okay, well, obviously knowing that you can do things like blockchain, and I said to him, okay, well, great about the blockchain and great about Bitcoin, but there are other solutions coming. And we started talking about the safe exchange and about seeds and things like this. So my question to you, Daniel, really, and I think this is a real question I was asked to ask you, really. In someone in that position, would you recommend to them they hold back or go straight into the safe exchange coin, or dip their toes in and start using Bitcoin? Or what would be your recommendation to a business owner who hasn't really dip their toes into any of this, but I wanted to know, which path do I start? Do I start with, the safe exchange, or do I start with, the blockchain, or do I dip my finger in all three? What would be your recommendation?
If they have a need to fulfill orders, they should go right for Bitcoin. They should not hesitate. They should not wait for anything to come. They should use what's there now, Bitcoin. Yeah.
That's a very honest answer, because I think that's a good one to go on. But just generally, Daniel, yeah, I mean, well, I maybe wanted to talk, about seeds, and I'm going to be putting a video out. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I really want to make a whole kind of a podcast about that, really, with a video and everything. But
I'm thinking,
generally,
Tim, you could also make an animation about seeds, like I'm making an animation. It'll be done in about 2 weeks about Safe Exchange Coin and the Chili blockchain. Because I think when I look at the old video, even if I replace Safe Network with Chili blockchain, the video still doesn't work. And when you really sit down and that video was made really rapidly, but when you really sit down and think about what it is, and you want to distill it, you want to make the concise but everything in 2 minutes or in a minute and a half. You got to really think about it. And I think only the fact that a year has passed since we initiated, for example, Safe Exchange project, I'm able to know exactly what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. The fact that Safe Exchange Coin is a enterprise, and our enterprise is building the Chili blockchain, which is our product. And Safe Exchange Coin, Safe Exchange, is pushing that product called Chili. So we're really like a company. We're like a business. And we made a product, and our product gives us dividends. So it's pretty simple that way. But if you asked me that like a year ago, I knew it's the same thing, but did I explain it so directly this way? Absolutely not. So it makes it much easier to explain this now. And it's just that. It's that couple sentences I said just before. That's what Safe Exchange Coin is. And Safe Exchange Coin's mission is to build an anonymous marketplace that no one can shut down.
Exactly, Daniel. And I just to linger on that very point, man. I mean, that's the very thing of being a very creative person. You have a very wide vision, and it's hard to sort of focus it down and actually boil it into a concise thing. But it's absolutely true. And one of the things, like, boiling things down to a very concise thing, there's one of the things that I really did want to talk to you tonight about. And we briefly talked about this, and it came out in a discussion we've had even in public around the whole, 99 and Safe Exchange this time last year, since you mentioned it. Mm-hmm. And it was the idea of really kind of like, I think people have maybe got an understanding of what blockchains are about and about, decentralization. And one of the things that it's particularly been a drive behind mine behind 1999 is the idea of having incentive on gamifying something. So basically making, the way to, so like at the moment to earn a Bitcoin, you have to answer, an algorithm question, and you get your Bitcoin. I've always seen the idea of you can get rewarded for doing certain tasks or hitting a reward button, all this sort of thing. Now, I'm fascinated with this because I think it's and this is one, and links in with really what I wanted to have a chat with you. I know you've been speaking to Ethereum and other projects. Do you think many projects are actually starting to get their head around about really what the potential of this could be? Because I think at the moment, blockchain and stuff, they're very much done on what you can answer mathematically, rather than starting to expand this out and think, well, okay, there's other things of human potential or other areas of human activity that we can start to link with the blockchain. I know you've done it with your Safe Exchange and your Chile network, and it's what I'm doing with N99. And we start to push these boundaries out. Now, my question to you is, do you think other people are starting to really get the concept of what the blockchain can actually do, rather than just thinking about Blick?
So here's the thing. I remember like 3 years ago, I told someone, what about other kinds of proof of work? And they're like, what the hell do you mean by other kinds of proof of work? Because that person is a PhD mathematician, you know? And what I'm thinking about was in the video game, when I'm clicking the button and extracting the resources, you know? The game won't give me the resources unless I click the button, you know? And I'm clicking the button, working to get those resources out. And I'm triggering an algorithm. I'm saying I clicked, I waited 3 seconds, and it gave me the resource, you know? And the computer spit it out for me. So it's the same thing like your seeds. When people go and do something with the seeds, it's producing some kind of feedback. And that can be programmed into blockchains. And I think it's a new frontier. It's hard to bend your mind into it. You have to take it from the video game. Like you say, gamifying your art. But in order to apply that, you gotta think like from that video game. Like I trigger from a RuneScape. You're running around. Actually, practically all MMORPG games are working this way. And you have to participate, do the work, and then they give you the reward. It's the same thing on a blockchain. The difference is the existing proof of work, the mathematical proof of work, making hashes or like figuring out the answer to get the correct looking hash is that's one mathematical proof of work. And then there's manual proof of work that the humans can do. So like I think it's something that's not very much is not used at all yet. I can't think of, maybe Steam, you put the content and you vote on the content. It's not really that. It doesn't really count. But yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. Steam might be the only example that I can think of that did anything like that, where there's some other way to extract the coins. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think this ties into really kind of, and it goes back to really what you're even your conference in, what you're speaking in Romania, because to really, like you said, in the mind blow or the mind melt of it, when you start thinking, you think, okay, let's extract what we really kind of want, what we think out of decentralization. I mean, it's one of the things that draws us together. It's the reason why we have weekly conversations. It's one of the reasons that, you know, it's driven a lot of people to sort of really think about what's going to happen. So if you extrapolate this to the future, it is going to get to these points. And what we've always got down to, and I've always said this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is we've got our creativity. Now, eventually that's going to be, you know, intermingled with the intelligence and the artificial intelligence, or whatever you want to call it. But right now we have that, we've all got that individual aspect of ourselves. And I think we need to lock that in and unleash that. And that's what I've always said to you, Daniel. I've gone on public and said this. It was what excited me the first time I heard about the Safe Exchange. I thought that's just the instant connection between how we can unleash all this human potential. But my thought is, and that's what I'm saying, I want to relate it back. Do you think many people have really started to really think this process through, and if you, and when you do you that's what I'm saying, do you think there's a need for people to think this way, or do you think that it's necessary right now, because we're kind of really spitballing ideas that are really down their hand? What we need now is actually people just to concentrate on the land that we can see, rather than thinking like we're doing and thinking way off in the future about things.
Yeah, I think something like figuring out to expose to make Chile blockchain capable of storing any data rather than just purchase agreements. That can make a difference, where now you can store any kind of information, and then you could look to the next frontier. What's going to happen next? You build applications on top of this. But yeah, like for now, it's gonna be plain, so to speak, but plain in the sense of how it's been described before. That's what's coming imminently, and like what we do next with it is, because remember, this is a marketplace, it's anonymous and can't be shut down. So what else can we sell besides,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we providing a use case, but then there people, and we can also, we're part of the people, we can invent more use cases for that network. So yeah, we'll see what we wind up coming up with. I mean, like what kind of inventions we will put on it. But yeah, immediately it's starting from the core on delegating the purchase and sale of things over an anonymous blockchain. Yeah.
Well, we kind of like work this way, and it's like all true great conversations. We don't follow a list or an order, and it's one of the great things about being creative entrepreneurs like me and you, my friend. We don't have to follow any list. So let's go right back to the beginning. I know maybe let's talk about the coin prices and how things have been going on since we last
Yeah,
spoke.
absolutely. I mean, Bitcoin in the last week, since we talked last week, it's up. Let me just reload this chart, just so I don't say the wrong information. But it's been up. That's the point. Bitcoin's been up, and yeah, it's up like 10% in the last week. So it's at about 1,180 right now, and it was about 1,050 a week ago. So it's up about $130 in a week. I think it's, from my perspective, it's gonna be around this price for a while. I think it's gonna be stable here, and if it goes up, it's gonna rapidly rise, and if it goes down, it's gonna not go down rapidly and won't go down very far. That's for sure.
Well, just on
Next
that
up,
point, just on that point, on that one, dictionary, you say it's just going to be sitting there for a while. What are you thinking? Weeks, months? I mean, what would your?
yeah, it could be 5-6 weeks at least.
Okay.
Could be, yeah. When it's gonna oscillate, just pop up, go back down. People are gonna trade it. I don't think it's gonna go up too much because, or if it does go up, it's gonna go up rapidly. But for it to go up rapidly, people need to get comfortable.
Mm.
It's like, remember before we were at like $800 mark, and then it dropped, came back to $800 mark, went up to 1,000 something, came back down to $800 mark. So like people got comfortable with the price being $800. So like that's the only reason it went back up. It's because this is too comfortable. So we got to get comfortable and then get uncomfortable and then go somewhere, right? This is kind of the way the markets move. So for now, Bitcoin gonna try to be comfortable over 1,000. Next up on the list is Ethereum. The reason I bring up Ethereum is because I spent all this time hanging out with several Ethereum developers, and it was a good time. And I noticed the price is not so high like it used to be. Like it's pretty impressive price, but wasn't high like it used to be. And over the last week, it's gone up about 20%. So that's pretty cool. Bitcoin went up about 20%, and Ethereum went up about 20%. So that's remarkable. And maybe Ethereum will continue to go up a little bit, but we shall see. Next up, yeah, I wanted to mention SafeChange Coin because it had a nice leap about a day or two ago. I don't remember anymore, but it jumped right up to about like 50 Satoshi, and right now the price is at like 33 Satoshi. So it came down from 50 Satoshi, but since a week it's been about the same price. It's pretty stable. I can see that when the price rises, someone deposits coins and sells them, and so that just indicates to me people who are holding it for a while are jumping out of their position, but there's new people buying the coin, which is great to know because that means it's getting distributed to new people. The reason that's great is because SafeChange Coin needs investors. people who care about the system, not just short-term profits. The real gains are when chilly dividends come in. So I think that Say Exchange Coin will just continue to rise gradually, and that's the best way. So that the people who are willing to just part with their coins, they should not get the best prices. That's just the way it goes. That, I mean, when you dump coins, you destroy the price, so you get what you deserve.
Indeed.
Yeah. And last place, this was awesome. I learned about this project while I was at the conference. It's something called BlockNet, and it's something that's been under development for like 2.5 years. It's really amazing. It's a decentralized exchange between different blockchains. So imagine trading Bitcoin for Litecoin without a centralized exchange. So this is a software. It's like some meta layer in between, and that allows you to swap coins without using an exchange. It's really remarkable. I got in touch with the founder, the lead developer, and we agreed that I will collaborate to figure out how Chile can be a part of this exchange. Now, they didn't launch yet. They're in beta, and they're preparing the user interface, and they're testing their software, and it's working. And yeah, they should be doing promotions not long from now. And the reason I mentioned it, it's ranked number 193. It's got a market cap of 200,000. It's got, a very talented programmer. It's been under development for almost 3 years, and it's ready to be launched. And around September, their valuation market cap was 2.3 million, about 10 times up what it is from now. So, I put some coin to support that currency, and see where it goes. But I just wanted to mention it because people could be looking for opportunities, and it might be worth a couple quarters of a coin, or one, like a 0.25 or something. Could be interesting. And yeah, so that's that on prices that I see.
Well, generally on that, just on the BlockNet, from what you're mentioning, from your understanding, is that basically they're going to progress into the future and they're going to be open to any platform using their?
Yes, they are. It's
wow.
Yeah, it's a interesting software. I'm still learning a lot about it because I am collaborating to have Chile there. But yeah, when I get more information, I'm sure I'll keep us updated.
That's fantastic, Daniel, because that's what I was, anything that's, because I think it's one of the things I wanted to mention from the very beginning of our conversation. You were talking about how exchanging a Bitcoin between Americans and time. One of the things that again is underspoken in this whole area because people don't want to speak about it, but I'm happy to say it's the price of it, dude. I mean, I remember the promises 2 or 3 years ago about the great advantage of blockchain was going to cut, and it's still like you can get people, some of these exchanges and stuff, and they're charging 6-7% to exchange. So I think anything that's going to bring that down is going to be a great thing.
Yeah, but when I was at the airport, they were charging 10%. So when I see they're charging 6-something% on Bitcoin, you got to look at Bitcoin as like the world's 100th biggest country. So in GDP, if you count GDP like market cap, but when you're charging 6%, it's not unusual. I mean, just not unusual. Like, it seems unusual because it's not every day someone can become an exchanger. Like, you're not sitting in Scotland being an exchanger for Scottish pounds, right? But if you became an exchanger for Bitcoin, which is more normal, you're like, wow, I made 7% or 6%. Yeah. So.
Well, I mentioned this, Daniel, because it's going to be like anything else. It's like the innovation itself, and that 6% will go down to 5.9, and eventually.
No, you know what I did at the airport? I didn't exchange all my money. I just got enough for a cab, and I exchanged it when the price was 1% in the middle of the city. So never mind. Like, people always going to get priced out. Like, But that kind of exchange rates, they inhibit trade. They slow you down. They prevent you from doing stuff. Like at an exchange, 300 euros into the Romanian lei at the airport. I exchanged 40 euros. So it's like, I limited my economic activity to 40 euros because I don't want to pay 10%. So, like, yeah, they stopped me from doing economic activity by their price. See what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, the other question I have to ask, and I ask every guest I speak to, just generally people all the time, whenever they go to any new country, how did you find the layout of the place, in terms of, was for instance, were the Bitcoin cash machines, were the, many outlets actually exchanging Bitcoin? I mean, how did you find it on a very personal, walking around, with your feet on the floor kind of thing?
So there's a great answer to that question. Of the economic department of Romania, and they were looking to invest in infrastructure related to blockchains. If that answers your question, let me just put it this way: there was no real Bitcoin infrastructure there. It's pretty new. Luckily, that one of their ministers is very progressive guy and very technical, oriented kind of guy around payments, and he identifies the value of blockchain. So they were there to represent themselves and promote their platform that they are interested in blockchain technology. So I think that's going to transform. I hope they do. But there was nothing about Bitcoin infrastructure there at all. Yeah. But
Daniel, yeah. No, I was just going to say, the great thing about this is, and I say this as much as one side of me thinks it's a negative, every negative has a positive, because this is a call out to people then who maybe listen to this now or in the future, or, go out and fill the space. This is one of the great things. All these areas right now, it's just like being in 1993 and trying to think, okay, we've got to sell computers to everybody with the internet, or like trying to sell, tires to people, when cars come along. These are very, for people who've got a kind of a gap and go mindset, or want to see what the future is going to be about, hence the name of this podcast. Hey, there's some great opportunities, and all the things you talk about, the negatives, this is opportunities for people to go and just in one little sector, form their own little, niche that could be huge in the future.
Yeah, or even today, like immediately as soon as you got it going. Yeah. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Well, perfect, Danny. Well, before like I'm saying, it's been a great little conversation tonight, man. And I want to do this shout out section, and I'm going to finish with because we've had two sort of hip hop tunes on the track. I'm going to finish with a kind of rocky track tonight, man. So I'm going to finish with a Tactics, who are from Australia, and I'll give out links and stuff, man. And the reason I want to play these, because it's not this anything particularly new, but they've been, I want to give them a personal huge shout out, because they've been great supporters of Network 99 ever since I started it. They've and like a lot of things, when people ask me about Network 99 or N99 and stuff like this, I always say to them, there's a lot going on. There's a great many artists, there's a great many stuff, and they're all building stuff and creating stuff that they're just waiting just to release on N99 and stuff like this. And this is why I put the shout out to these guys, because they're just they're one of the greatest, in Australia. So they're a great band out of Australia, and it's another perfect example of how many creative people are getting so excited about what's going to happen. And well, that's what I was saying before. These are going to be well, just a big shout out to them. So while I'm doing this, Daniel, maybe do you want to sort of like I say, maybe your closing thoughts of tonight, and then we'll while I'm wrapping this up.
Yeah, just everybody have a really good day. I'm looking forward to a grand future. Just that. You playing the tune?
We're trapped in a prison of uncertainty. The clock strikes down and I don't know if I can make it. Relax in a lizard brain from birth we are forsaken. But I keep it real, I speak for justice and I'm blazing the dark. To free your mind, I'm one that's trying to just reveal from the start. I got this motherfucker ringing in the side of my head. It's telling me that I'm better. Deadhead, you better wake up. And if you listen to the ringing, then you've already got your mind made up. Lay out your time, pay up, this is it. Life's more important than material shit. It started Sunday, and now you're falling like rain, trapped in your misery. It's trouble, it can't stop it. I keep calling your name from your misery. Take from your misery. Your eyes show me the pain. From your little brain. It started Sunday, and now you're falling like rain, trapped in your lizard brain fade. It's yours, control it. It can't be stopped. I hear it calling your name deep from your lizard brain. Deep from your lizard brain. Deep from your lizard brain.